Welcome to the EQ Video Tip. I'm your host, Eric Forsetter, and as always, thank you for joining us for another great show. Before we jump into this week's episode, let's review the goals of EQ Video Tip. What's on tap for today? Well, it's a great show, and it comes to us from one of our favorites, Justin Bariso, who's going to talk to us about how emotionally intelligent people use 5 simple rules to build stronger relationships and better friendships. And let's face it, we all want better friends out there, but how do you do that? And Justin's going to walk through a few different ways to have true friends and really connect with them as well. So let's jump into some of Justin's great tips on how to become better friends with people, make stronger connections, and have stronger relationships. Tip number 1, the milk carton rule. This is a great story. So there's a husband and a wife, and the wife always leaves out the milk carton. And she leaves it out, and the husband's really upset because every time that happens, his cereal is warm as opposed to cold milk. And he gets really upset, goes to the therapist, and the therapist says to him, let me get this straight. How many times do you think this will happen? Oh, hundreds of times, maybe thousands. And it's never changed? Nope, never changed. So why are you still upset? You know that's going to happen. And really what we're talking about is focus on what you can change as opposed to what you can't. Maybe buy a second carton of milk. And this way there's one that's always cold and one that's warm. If you focus on what you can control in a relationship as opposed to what you can't and what you can't change of someone, it will help you out. So use that milk carton rule to really help you out in terms of understanding relationships and how you can best work with people and grow your friendship. Tip number 2, disagree and commit, one of our leadership principles out there. It's so important to do that, to have a healthy discussion with someone, even though if you don't agree with their position, to go through that exercise of disagreeing back and forth, a healthy argument, but at the end, commit to whatever the decision is made, even if it's not the one that you agreed with. It's okay to sometimes disagree, but then go together and work towards whatever that common goal is, even if your solution wasn't the one that was out there. Because this will strengthen your personal relationship as well, because you'll have the habit of going all in with someone at the end of the day, and they'll do the same for you as well. Tip number 3, the rule of rethinking. When you're presented with information that differs from your normal day-to-day opinion, you simply have to stop that urge to resist and dismiss it. Instead, you have to force yourself to listen. And we love listening in EQ because it's so important. And you have to take time to reconsider the evidence that's out there that maybe you don't have the right idea. The rule of rethinking is great because it gets you emotionally attached to other people's beliefs while detaching yourselves from your own at the same time. And while we all hate to be wrong, sometimes we don't have all the right answers. We're all human. And so we know that we're not going to have all the right answers all the time. But if we are wrong, and sometimes that we are, in that small little percentage there, we have to make sure is that when we're wrong, we think about it and we accept it. So use the rule of rethinking to help you bridge that gap from friend to friendships, as well as understanding how to use your emotions and other people's knowledge and strength, because it'll grow your friendship as well. Our next tip, the help first rule. And the help first rule is a crazy one, but it's a great one. If you notice someone else who is in a difficult situation, and maybe you're in one as well, try helping them out first. Now, it sounds counterintuitive because you're sitting there, you've got this crazy difficult situation, and you're the one who actually needs help. But the last thing you can think about is not trying to help someone else. And when you do that, by helping someone else first, you're benefiting from the power of empathy. And the power of empathy is so strong because when you help other people out and help solve their problems, it builds an instant connection with them. And it's about the overall perspective of everyone as opposed to just yourself. And you're breaking the cycle of self-absorption and misunderstanding in doing that. So defy expectations, help someone else out. You'll feel better about yourself and the others around you, and they will, of course, forge a bond with you and create that great relationship and great teamwork as well. Our our last tip, the rule of the chess player, or in my opinion, the rule of the armchair quarterback. Think about it. When you watch a game on TV and you say, oh, they should have passed the ball, or they should have shot, or why didn't he play defense, or why didn't she do this? Or a chess player, why did they make that move? Well, your perspective is drastically different when you're in a situation as opposed to just watching it. And it's important to understand that when you're trying to gain more empathy. For example, when you see someone suffering, don't say to them, hey, it's not so bad. Instead, don't say things like, oh, they just need to toughen up. Instead, you say something like, how can I help you? And that actually changes your overall empathetic perspective and knowledge of how you interact with people. So next time when you're about to make that decision, think about the rule of the chess player or the armchair quarterback, as we like to call it, and hopefully that will help you build your empathy. Thanks again for watching this week's EQ video tip. We hope you enjoyed the tips. And of course, here's a quick recap of everything that we covered today. So that concludes our EQ video tip for today. Try incorporating some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember, use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ Video Tip, we want to end with gratitude. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.